Welcome to A Game of Two Halves with me, Rick, and him, Sam. We're here again with all the news, reviews and previews of the Premier League action this week. Sam, Happy New Year. How are you?
Happy New Year. I'm okay. I've got another cold. Don't know where I keep picking them up from.
Well, you are a blue nose.
Apologies for the last podcast not coming out on time. We had technical difficulties with my PC.
And Christmas and general whiskey drinking. But Sam, where should we start the festive rundown?
I think we should start with a resurgent Man United. Although the games have been easy, they have looked so much more like the old United that we're used to. And I think bringing in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is something that they needed to do. They tried doing it with Giggs when Moyes left, which I didn't think worked quite as well as it has done this time. Yes, the run of games have been very kind to them, but the performances they put in have been far better than anything that they seem to have produced under Mourinho.
I am unhappy about this though, for several reasons. Firstly,
it's United.
But take that as read. I want to hate Solskjaer, but I can't. He just seems a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Even though his accent is sort of northern England mixed with Sweden, it's so strange. But yeah, fair play. He's gone in there. He's obviously lifted morale. Although to be fair, I think he's getting over the top praise because all we had to do was not be Mourinho.
Yes. I think getting Mourinho out there was a shock, a huge shock when it was announced. But we can understand why it happened. And we weren't quite sure who was going to bring in. There was a possibility that Carrick might have taken over to the end of the season. Well, I think Solskjaer's a good person to bring in. He's had experience in the league before with Cardiff, although they went down. And he's proved his quality with taking Mulder to championships in Sweden.
Yep. I do wonder whether this raises a wider point about player power at clubs, because these things can't just happen overnight. I appreciate he's now 3 games in charge, but you're seeing completely different players. Now, I accept that some of that's down to confidence, and Mourinho's tact in the modern world doesn't seem to really work anymore. But you're seeing performances from players like Pogba, Rashford, Lingard, to be fair, always put it in under Mourinho. I don't think you can put him into the conversation.
Martial stepped up as well.
This is it, and I do wonder if this raises a bigger question about player control, not just at Manchester United, because this could easily been anywhere else. So we saw it at Chelsea before, where Hazard went missing from Mourinho, new manager came in, and suddenly he was asserting himself as one of the world's best again. It does concern me slightly that the respect for managers seems to be on the decline. This would never have happened under Fergie, under Clough, under these great managers of the past. I don't know if it's just the way we're moving in football.
No, I think Solskjaer coming in, he was always the one that was taking notes under Ferguson while he was sitting on the bench, known to be the super sub that he was. And I think almost under that sort of like semi-tutelage that he's had, he's really been able to input things on the training ground that are like key philosophies of United.
Yeah.
And there has been questions over whether there is more involvement with Sir Alex, although he's still in that director role.
Attack, isn't it? And you're right, the last 3 games have been two convincing wins. I thought they were a little bit lucky against Newcastle. What I thought was interesting was that it was a very similar game to the one last season when Newcastle won 1-0. But this time, of course, United managed to get the 2-0 win, which speaks volumes of where they are now compared to where they were a year ago. The Bournemouth game was an absolute masterclass for Manchester United, as was the Cardiff one.
They were lucky against Reading in the FA Cup though. They didn't play especially well. I know there were 9 changes, I think.
Yeah.
But they didn't play as well as we expected them to, considering Reading are a relegation threatened side in the Championship.
I'm slightly surprised that United put out such a weak team in the Cup, I have to say, because I know they've got a focus of trying to get top 4, but Solskjaer could really assert his position for managerial on the full-term basis by winning a Cup here. Yeah,
but Mourinho won the Europa League and he won FA Cup as well.
And it bought him time. So Manchester United had a good Christmas. I'm going to go to the other end of the table, who I think had a merry Christmas. And Neil Warnock, I think, with Cardiff, had a fairly good festive period. Lost the games you'd expect them to lose against Tottenham and Manchester United. But crucially, a big win away to Leicester. And they're starting 2019 out the bottom 3.
Yeah, they their home form, we've always said, is what's going to keep them up, and they've gone and won an away game as well, which is probably to them seen as a bit of a bonus.
When you look at the teams around them, not many of those sides in the bottom will go away to Leicester and get 3 points. I don't see Huddersfield doing it. I don't see Fulham doing it. Burnley, I don't see doing it. Southampton, possibly
with the run that they've been on.
But my point is that by and large, the teams around them won't go to Leicester and get 3 points. So that's a huge 3 points for Cardiff, and I think they're going to stay up. I think they're going to just squeak it.
Yeah, although there are a couple of other teams that have had a Christmas resurgence.
Yep.
Southampton have got a couple of wins on the board now under the new manager.
So unlucky to get a draw at Chelsea and drop into the bottom 3.
Yes, very unlucky. But the way they're playing now, they're looking like a team that isn't actually in that much trouble.
Yeah.
They just need to get the results on the board. And even when you grind out a draw against a top 4 team, you can see that as a good result despite Cardiff winning and Burnley.
One side who had an up and down Christmas, Chelsea. Obviously beaten by Leicester.
Yeah.
Got a good win on Boxing Day, however. They're a bit of an up and down team period this season, aren't they? It was supposed to be expected under Sarri in his first year.
Yeah, I mean, he came in, he implemented what he wanted to implement, and it was going really well for those first 12 games unbeaten.
Yeah.
And then it seems to have crumbled slightly. They seem to be letting more goals in, and obviously they haven't got that centre forward that's banging in the goals for them.
That's the crucial part for me. They're so weak up front. And you can have all the creative play you like, and you do with Hazard and Willian, Pedro mucking in. Obviously we see Fabregas is now off to Monaco, Pulisic coming in for the next season. But it's not going to mean a thing if you don't get a striker that can put the ball in the net. If you look at the teams ahead of them in the league, Liverpool, City, Tottenham, all 3 have distinguished strikers.
Yep. And I think the rumours of possibly Callum Wilson going there, I don't see him as a Chelsea player personally.
No, I see him more in a Tottenham or perhaps even Arsenal mould. I don't see him fitting particularly well at Chelsea. But it's difficult to know who would fit well at Chelsea. I mean, typically the players that have done really well at Chelsea are the big, strong centre forwards, which can hold up the ball and have a bit of power and pace about them. Costa and Drogba, the two that immediately spring to mind in the modern era. But that sort of player doesn't really exist anymore.
No, and a lot of those teams up the top, probably bar Tottenham, have got that smaller, more diminutive striker who will link up with those playmakers and swap roles occasionally.
Well, Tottenham have it to a degree with Son, don't they? That he acts as that for them, whilst Kane is the big target man, which is perhaps a disservice to Kane, but he's the focal point, if you like. City obviously have Aguero.
Or Jesus.
Liverpool, you'd argue it's probably Salah. Although Firmino does the job as well.
Yeah, well, Salah's been playing in a more advanced position this season.
Yeah, he has, and he's looking good at the moment. I just think that for Chelsea, we're in the transfer window. They need to get a striker, but I don't know what they do, because I think the brand of striker they want doesn't exist in the modern game as such.
There's certainly not a top quality one out there.
But they're still built around that model.
Yeah.
I mean, the one that springs to mind for me immediately is Mandzukic, but he's getting on. I don't think he's up to the pace of the Premier League yet. Higuain, he's never cut it at a top level for me.
For me, he's too lazy.
Yeah,
he's far too lazy. He hasn't got the work ethic that you need in the Premier League.
Hazard can't do it. He's tried it with Hazard several times this season and can't do it.
Yeah.
Paco Alcacer of Dortmund's obviously tearing up the Bundesliga this year. Maybe he could do a job, although he's only recently at Dortmund. And then Lewandowski's always sort of moonlighted Chelsea, hasn't he? He's always been linked, but again, getting on and not having a particularly strong season with Bayern in the Bundesliga. So,
do you think that they should bring back Batshuayi from Valencia?
I don't think Batshuayi fits Chelsea's way of playing. I think he'll do better away. I think Batshuayi will be a very good player. I don't think Chelsea's a good club for him personally. Moving on, the Palace really have pulled himself out of the relegation mire. They're now 6 points clear of the drop zone. An impressive away win at Man City with the Townsend
wonder goal.
We just did discuss that in the previous pod, so we won't put too much store on that one. And Hodgson's doing very well, though. I think you found an amazing stat that they've got the 4th best clean sheets in the league.
Yeah, it's weird to think that Palace have had such a poor start to the season and they can't score goals and stuff like that, but they seem to be keeping clean sheets and maybe nicking a win somewhere, and that's what really seems to have pulled them a couple of points clear of the relegation zone and possibly clear of those teams down there that are really going to get dragged into it.
I still think they need a striker. I saw that their move for Dom Solanke fell through. Questions over his fitness. I know Jordan Ayew's back amongst the goals, but I don't think you can rest your survival in the Premier League on Jordan Ayew.
No.
Benteke, even if he is fit, well, we've seen some of his finishing abilities at times.
Yes.
So I do think Palace need to move for a striker. The question is who. This is the problem. That if you look at the teams up them in the table, who do you bring in?
Well, it's a question of whether you take a risk on maybe someone from the Championship who's banging in lots of goals, like Kemar Roof from Leeds.
Billy Sharp.
I think Billy Sharp's a bit too old
Possibly.
for it now, but Roof for Leeds, he's been chucked in there this season. He's built it up over a few seasons maybe, and he seems to be scoring more and more now. Leeds to the top of the Championship. Would you be prepared to move into a team in the Premier League that probably will stay up?
I don't think you would this season with Leeds the way they are.
No.
The other option, of course, is to do the Wolves model, which is just to bring in good, talented players from abroad, which we'll get on to Wolves in a moment, but also they have that with Jimenez, who is, going to... There's never a question about keeping them up, they're going to be absolutely fine, but the question of how high they're going to get is, Jimenez, Jota,
Caballero,
Moutinho. I know they've got the Portuguese agent, which helps, but there's no reason that these other clubs at the bottom can't look abroad. Everyone's got great scouting systems these days.
No, I think Wolves have done really well to actually get Tammy Abraham in on loan for the rest of the season from Aston Villa.
That is
I can't believe he's gone from Aston Villa.
Well, he's at Chelsea, isn't he? He's on loan at...
Yeah, he was on loan at Villa, but he'd got 16 goals this season already.
It's a masterstroke.
And he was banging them in.
It's a masterstroke by Wolves. It really is.
I really hope he plays.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Tammy Abraham. I think he is going to be a really, really top Premier League striker. But you're right, he needs a club now in the Premier League to give him that run of games.
Yep.
He's too talented to be sat on the bench. It's difficult because I know my club doesn't give that sort of chance to the younger players. I'm constantly frustrated to how Origi hasn't had a run in the team, because I really like Origi. There was that season before one of your players decided to break his ankle. He was on an absolutely... I think it was Funes Mori. He was in an absolute sparkling form. With Tammy Abraham as well, I want to see him get a run in the team. I don't want him to become a Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, moving on to Wolves, they've had they went through a rocky period before Christmas, and then they picked up a couple of wins, but they're a bit up and down at the moment. They're a bit like Leicester earlier on in the season.
They picked up a great win against Tottenham.
Yeah,
coming from behind. Remarkable that Tottenham still haven't drawn this season, by the way. But yeah, they did very well, because in that first half they were well beaten by Tottenham, but they stayed in the game, and then they came back to win 3-1. And some of their attacking play on the counter is utterly phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, just looking here, they drew against Fulham, away to Fulham. Fair enough, Ranieri's looking to set up with a more defensive mind. Then they beat Bournemouth, who you would expect to be a team up challenging for possibly Europe this season.
Wolves play well against teams that attack. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got an excellent record against the top six.
Yeah, well, it's because Wolves... I think that's why Wolves lost to Palace, and the game has gone 2-0. Wolves are much better against a team that will come out and attack them, because their pace they have on the counter and the way they link from midfield to attack is front. I mean, the third goal against Tottenham, they carved Tottenham apart on the counter. I know Tottenham were pushing everything forward at that point for the to save the game, but even so, they absolutely just hammered through them. And they're very good from set piece as well. Wolves are very... I think Nuno Espirito Santo deserves a lot of credit for what he's achieving at Wolves, because they've got the links to the Portuguese agent, make of that what you will, but for a Championship club to come up and be this comfortable in the Premier League, I can't remember the last time I saw this.
Yeah, you normally expect a team to struggle. I think maybe Swansea in their first season had a really solid first season, but it'll be interesting to see whether next season they go on to struggle, or whether they can still build on it.
I think Wolves have the infrastructure more than Swansea. I think Wolves are a Premier League team.
Yeah,
That's no disrespect to Swansea, but I think Wolves are a set-up Premier League team. Okay, well, we'll go to the top of the table then. Liverpool had a good Christmas, not such a good start to the new year, but a good festive period. They won every game in that December, which was all 7 games. All good things have to come to an end, and City played well in their win. It was one of those games where it could literally have gone any way possible. It could have been any score, but it's such a good game of football. It
was a very good game of football to watch, and Liverpool have been really, really consistent this season, having only lost that one game now. Their record is astonishing. Their defence seems to have just stepped up like 3 levels this season compared to what it
apart from Lovren.
compared to what it was. Well, where would you be if you kept Gomez fit?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Where would it be if how does Stones get the ball through Salah's legs? How did he not go over the line? I mean,
it was an excellent goal line clearance.
it was, but any other time it hit Salah, I don't know how he's got it through Salah's legs.
Yeah.
I still think the title, whilst it's precarious, it's still in Liverpool's hands here. I think it's still Liverpool's to lose. I don't know what you think about this, but 4 points clear. That's 2 games lost essentially.
Yeah, I think although we know what Man City can do, they can turn it on, and we know that Liverpool are the only team to have lost the Premier League from leading positions in the last 10 years.
Thank you.
That's all right. I still think you are in a very strong position this season.
I don't see us losing many more games. In my opinion, we've got 2 tough away games left, which is Goodison and Old Trafford.
Yeah.
We've got some tough home games, don't get me wrong. We've got Tottenham, Chelsea to come to our place, but I think Anfield, I think we can beat them there. City, they still look vulnerable at the back for me. They still look more vulnerable than Liverpool at the back. I think that's been evidenced with, how many clean sheets they kept this season compared to Liverpool. It's almost incomparable.
Yeah, do you think you'll have a slip up against a lower team like City have done against Palace and Leicester?
No, I don't think so. No, my reason for this is that Klopp seems to have developed a way to play the so-called lesser teams. Whereas last season we'd be drawing to your West Broms, your Palaces, whoever. Klopp seems to have a different system whereby he brings Shaqiri in for that bit more penetration. And because we're so strong at the back, I mean, those sort of teams were getting points against us last season by hitting us on the counter or frustrating us with a 0-0 or 1-0 because of a stupid defensive error from Lovren, Karius or Mignolet. This season those errors aren't there, and there's an added level of attack in Shaqiri. And I think that when we come against the so-called lesser sides, he plays 4 up front essentially with all 4 roaming and causing havoc. And I think he's probably found a way to get those points. I'm not sure City have that adaptability. I think City play the same. They've changed the players, but I think they always play the same way.
Yeah, they've shown that they always play a very similar way because when Fernandinho's out, they really struggle.
Yeah.
Are you worried for if Van Dijk either picks up 5 yellow cards, gets suspended, or gets sent off and suspended, or even worse than that, gets injured?
I'm terrified of the latter, the injury. I think a one-off game, if it falls kindly, you can get away with it, particularly if Gomez coming back, Matip will be fit. If we lose, Van Dijk's the most key player to that side, about a shadow of a doubt, followed by Alisson, and then probably Salah. I think we're better equipped to cope without Salah than we are Van Dijk or Alisson, and I am worried that Van Dijk will pick up an injury. However, his injury record, touch wood, is pretty good. He's not one of these that's always injured. He's a bit of a warrior. I think he'll hopefully stay fit. If he does, we'll see what happens with the title. I think it's still Liverpool's to lose.
Yeah, I think the run of games that you'll have where you're competing on 3 different fronts in the FA Cup and Champions League as well may come into account of whether he gets rested or whether...
Well, it's interesting. Tonight we've seen that Fabinho's playing at centre-back. Van Dijk's not even in the squad, so that's a clear message from Klopp where he...
Yeah.
Nor is Alisson for that matter. I don't think he's in the squad. I think we've got a younger keeper on the bench. I think City, if the Champions League opens up, may go for the Champions League. I know they want to go for both.
Yeah, that's what Guardiola's effectively been brought in to do, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's been brought in to win the Champions League and get them that European/world glory and get them known on that global stage.
If you look at how some of the draws have gone, big teams are going to go out at the round of 16. This Champions League could really open up, and Pep may focus on that more than the league. And no matter what fans say or what managers say about we're focusing on every competition we play in, we all know that's not.
No.
It's not the way it goes. There will become a crossroads where you have to decide which one you're going to go for. Like last year, Liverpool gave up on the league and put everything into the Champions League, got to the final, and then Karius decided that he was going to drop the ball, literally. And then we only just got 4th that season.
Yes.
And I think there'll come a point where City will probably prioritise the Champions League, unless Schalke can perform one of the biggest shocks of all time, which I don't see happening. I just want to move on to your club before we do. I want to pick up Huddersfield as well, but I'm intrigued what's going on at your place. Same amount of points as Big Sam at the turn of the year, playing arguably better football. I mean, there's no argument about it. Playing better football.
Definitely playing better football. Certainly in the early stages of the season.
What you need is Silva to teach the attacking and Sam to teach the defending, because at times it's been non-existent.
Well, that's exactly what I thought when we had Martinez come in for the first season. we had the best points tally we've ever had.
Yep.
I think 74 points, nearly made it into Champions League places. And that was because we still had that defensive solidity that David Moyes always brought to our team.
Yep.
And then we got that attacking flair from Martinez, and we had the perfect balance. Yes,
Yeah.
we had Lukaku up there as well. He got us the vast majority of our goals. But I really, really hope it isn't happening again, where Silva comes in, has a good first season, and then
It's worrying, isn't it?
tails off.
This
But
is-
it seems to have tailed off sooner, because our December was shocking.
It is worrying because this is peak Silva and Richarlison syndrome.
Yes.
Both started the season really well. Both, I think everyone in the Premier League world sat up and took note of, wow, Everton are actually playing really nice, really good football.
Yep.
Richarlison looks a snip at 40 million, and now you're languishing in 11th. I really don't understand it. The last 5 games in particular, I mean, the game against Leicester was one of the dullest matches I've ever had the misfortune to see. Obviously, Tottenham absolutely tanked you.
Yeah, Tottenham tanked us. Brighton, I don't know. We go from beating Burnley 5-1
Yeah.
to then beating 1-0 by Brighton.
We home away to Brighton. away, weren't you?
Away to Brighton.
I mean, that's not a terrible result in itself. Brighton's a tough place to go.
Yes, but after that confidence high of beating Burnley 5-1
Yeah.
after getting tanked by Tottenham,
Yeah.
you'd expect us to go on and win either 2 or 3-0.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that.
And I don't think the changes that he's made over the Christmas period have helped the team.
No.
Because he has chopped and changed, and his team selection is questionable at times anyway.
What are you making of Pickford? For me, he's making a fair few mistakes recently. I don't want to bash England's number 1 keeper and the hero of the penalty shootout with Colombia or anything like that, but I've been disappointed with him as a whole this season. I think he's made a lot of mistakes.
Yes, he has made plenty of mistakes, hasn't he? I don't know, sometimes he'll have a really good game, he'll be that commanding keeper that you want, that shot stopper you want when you really need it. Then he'll come out and do something like he did in the Tottenham game and get a mix up with Zuma
Yeah.
and just leave the goal wide open.
Yeah, I've seen a fair bit criticising for Zuma on that on the forums. I don't think Zuma's to blame for that goal. I know we're
No.
rewinding slightly here, but I don't think Zuma's to blame for that goal at all. He's doing
Pickford
defending.
can see the whole situation.
He's got a shout from his keeper. He's left it. He's got to stop. He can't just disappear.
No,
Pickford should be staying at home. He's made a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes this season. Obviously, the Derby one will get replayed again and again because of the substance of that match. Yeah, I'm not sure on Everton. I don't know what to make of them. There's some games I see them I really like, despite myself. I really like watching them. And there's other times I look at them and think, this is worse than when you had Sam in charge.
yeah, I mean, as I said, the team selection has been questionable. I'm not quite sure why Mina and Zuma aren't starting at centre-back together.
No, not me.
Digne has probably been our signing of the season.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
He's been excellent as looking for a replacement for Baines, and we're in desperate need of a
I
striker.
was going to say, when are the club going to address the humongous elephant in the room, which is you
Cenk
haven't
Tosun.
you haven't got a Premier League quality striker.
No.
Now I like Calvert Lewin, but for me he should be going out on loan, perhaps to a Southampton or Cardiff, a team down the bottom to get week in, or even a Championship maybe, but to get him week in week out experience. I think he's a good player. I think he's got a bright future, but Everton should be challenging the top 6,
Yes.
and to do that. And when you were doing that, you had a Premier League striker in Lukaku.
Lukaku, yeah.
And now you don't have any Premier League quality striker in the squad. Lookman, again, perhaps if he's not going to get played, he needs to go out on loan because I think he's too good a talent to squander.
Yeah, well, I hope his performance in the FA Cup will actually give Silva the impetus to put him in ahead of Walcott, who does nothing for 75 minutes and then gets substituted.
Yes, your hatred of Walcott continues. But yeah, you look at it, Czech Tosin is not a Premier League player.
No, nor's Nias.
I forgot you even had Nias, to be honest with
Exactly.
you. You need to be, I mean, look, will Callum Wilson go to Everton? It is probably a step up, but that's the sort of player you need.
I'd love it if he came to
No,
Everton. I think him or even Josh King
Yeah.
would be an improvement of what we got.
Absolutely.
And they're both strikers that are willing to work hard, which is what we need, because I think there are some lazy players in our squad.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think you've missed Idrissa Gueye,
Yes, we really missed him.
particularly in the Tottenham game.
And when he came back, and him and Gomez seemed to make a lovely pairing in midfield.
Yeah, they play well. They complement each other well.
I can't believe our the quoted asking price for Gomez at the moment.
Well, I've not seen that. How much is that?
Apparently Barcelona are offering him to us for 25 mil.
You got to snap that now.
Absolutely bite their arm off.
If that's what
for
they're
it.
offering, take that now. But then they have just signed Rabiot, haven't they? So there's no space for Gomez.
No.
So get him in the.
But
in
I
your
could
team.
quite easily see someone like Tottenham sniffing around for him.
Yeah, but I think Gomez is at the point in his career where he wants to play week in, week out, and he's guaranteed that Everton. Cause
Oh, yeah.
With respect, he's probably the best player in the squad.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah.
Player in the squad. But yeah, until you buy a striker, Everton. I mean, you're not going to go down.
No.
But if it doesn't work out for Silva here, I don't know what happens next. To be honest with you.
No, I'm not quite sure either. I mean, we've had so many decades now of mediocrity. Yes, we've done enough.
The problem is you get the
But
one.
we want to do more.
The problem is you get the one season flash, don't you? Your Martinez had a really
Yeah.
good opening season.
So did Koeman.
Koeman at times looked like he was revolutionising Everton. I think you should have stuck with Koeman, to be perfectly honest with you, but I think he'd have come good in the end.
I will be interested to see if in this window Marcel Brands does anything to sort out our problems in key positions. I've heard reports that he's not signing anyone in January.
It's always difficult in January, but occasionally.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not one for signing players in January, but you look at when you've got a gaping hole in the side.
Yeah, I mean it worked out really well for Liverpool one season, didn't it? With Suarez.
Van Dijk last season.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it has to be done. If there's a hole you need to fill, and you just have to pay what. I mean, let's be honest. All these clubs can afford to pay. It is inflated, but you'll get the signings that make that price look silly in the end.
Yeah.
Van Dijk's making 75 million look cheap at the moment.
Mm.
Well, talking about gaping holes in the side, or perhaps gaping wounds leaking all over the place. Huddersfield lost all 7 games in December. Lost their 8th the weekend just gone. I think we can probably safely say Huddersfield are relegated, aren't they? If they come back,
think so.
There's no coming back from this, really, is there?
I'm surprised to see Wagner still in charge.
Yep.
Mounier has finally scored the first goal for a striker for their club. It's taken them 19 games, but he's finally done it. It's just you don't see a way out for them. You don't see enough creativity. I think Moy is out injured at the moment, and he's key for them. You don't see enough creativity, and the defence is poor at best.
Just on the Wagner point you raised, are you surprised he's still there? A, that the club haven't sacked him, or that he's not walked away?
The club haven't sacked him. I don't think he'd walk away because of how he's brought them up to the Premiership.
I don't think the club would sack him because I don't think there's a what alternative is there? Who'd you bring in? Big Sam's not going to go there. He's not, is he? Sam's not going to go to Huddersfield. He's not.
Clueless?
Is he not? Is he not in a job at the moment?
Yeah, but there's no saying that you can't get someone that's in a job at the moment.
Pulis at Middlesbrough is doing quite well though. Why do you leave Middlesbrough, who could be in the Premier League next season, for a club that definitely won't be? I think any manager now. I think if they were going to sack Wagner, it should have been done a while ago because I think they're too far gone now.
Yeah, I think they are. It's unfortunate to see because it was lovely when they came up and they stayed up for their first season.
But no, Pulis is in Middlesbrough. Bruce has just gone to Wednesday, I understand. You've got Karanka already at Forest. I'm just thinking of the names you normally associate. I don't see Big Sam wanting to go to Huddersfield. I just don't see who do you bring in if you're Huddersfield. They're too far gone for me. They're too far gone. I think they've accepted that and they'll probably part ways with Wagner in the summer, would be my suggestion.
It'll be disappointing to see though.
Yeah, I'm not particularly happy Huddersfield are going down. 'Cause you're right, it was the feel-good story. But equally, it was a miracle them staying up last year, let's be honest.
Yep.
And for me, they're easily the worst team in the division. It's just difficult. You look at the 19 teams above them, you go, who are they actually going to beat in this division? It's really difficult to see where they get 3 points from.
Yep.
Just finally for the review section then, and we're not going to talk about every team because some had fairly indifferent Christmases. Leicester had a very good overall festive period, back-to-back wins against City and Chelsea.
Yep, and then they went on to beat us as well.
Yep. Lost to Cardiff in the meantime, although to be fair, Cardiff did save a penalty, or Etheridge saved a penalty.
It was a tight game, that one.
Yeah, and in the end, an absolute wonder goal by Carassa to separate
lovely, wasn't
sides.
it?
Yeah, but for Cardiff, it's going for them at the moment, isn't it? They seem to be getting those, as we said earlier, those results. But yeah, Leicester doing very, very well, up into 7th, probably where Leicester can expect to be around.
Do you think this has gained Claude Puel more fans? Or
No.
do you think he's still under pressure from the fans?
I think he's under pressure, and I've said before and I say again, I've no idea why.
No.
I can see he could be potentially a little bit unlikable maybe, but I mean, I said it before, I'll say it again, at Southampton, he got them to 9th in the Premier League, got on to a League Cup final, which they should have won. And at Leicester, he's in 7th, playing fairly good football.
But just gone out the FA Cup to Newport County.
Yeah, but that's the FA Cup, isn't it?
Yeah.
If it wasn't Leicester, it could easily have been any of those big sides. That's the end of the first half. We'll move now to extra time, which is fantasy football roundup. We'll discuss perhaps the best week of the festive period that we've had respectively, and also, of course, Statman's festive stat. Sam, what was your best football week? What game week and how well did you do?
Well, I think we both played our pretty much like free hit on changing the squad on Boxing Day, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And it's worked out fairly excellently for both of us.
Yeah, not too bad. I can see you having some technical difficulties, so I'll go for mine. I did play my free hit and scored 108 points. The masterstroke genius that I am brought Lovren in on Boxing Day. Well, I knew he was going to have to play because Matip was injured and Gomez was injured, and even with squad rotations, we only have 2 fit centre-backs, so he was guaranteed to play. I didn't expect him to score that kind of Maldini-esque volley, but there we go. Yeah, Felipe Anderson, Shaqiri, Digne decided to get 2 goals for
it was lovely,
no
wasn't
apparent reason. Hazard turned up. I brought in Kane and captained him. The only sickener for me really is that I had Wan-Bissaka for 8 and Lingard for 5 still on the bench. But you can't win them all, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, I was fairly lucky. I brought Alisson in because I thought you were going to get a clean sheet, which you did. Wan-Bissaka was on the field for me. Digne, obviously, 2 goals and just had an excellent game. Hazard, Felipe Anderson and Shaqiri all scored. And then Lacazette assisted Aubameyang. Aubameyang was my captain. The only one downside was that Man City got beaten and John Stones only got me 0.
It's slightly off topic, but I'm going to mention it anyway. You know how I was saying I had to bring Lovren because we only have 2 fit centre-backs?
Yes.
We now only have 1 fit centre-back. Lovren's been taken off in the FA Cup game against Wolves injured. On has come 16-year-old Hoover.
Isn't he the right back that they've been on about?
He's playing... No, it's Camacho who's the right back who started the game. So we had Camacho
Oh, in the 6th minute as well.
Oh, perhaps he hurt his pride, or I don't know. 16-year-old's got his bet. I'm still not forgiving Lovren for his mistakes on Aguero on the City game. I still don't know how Aguero... Look, it's a great finish by Aguero. I know we've gone off topic here slightly. It was a great finish by Aguero, but I don't know how he's been allowed that space from Lovren. Stupid.
Anyway, back to fantasy points.
Yes.
I was quite annoyed last week where the week previous, I changed loads of players, forgetting that you get a new wild card on the 1st of January. Yes, that wasn't a smart move.
Yeah.
And then I did play my wild card, and on the bench I had Robertson, Kante and Rashford, who got a combined total of 20.
So how did you do this week, just gone in game week 21?
I got 52 points, which was 2 below the average.
See, I got 67. And interestingly, in the actual league that we compete in, I'm now
You're well ahead.
And I've completely, blitzed you, I'm afraid, and gone far ahead. I'm catching up to 3rd place now as well. I'm only less than 100 points back on them.
Yeah, I mean, I've changed my squad up. I've got 3 Man United players in there now because of the run that they're on.
Yeah.
With Pogba, Herrera and Rashford.
I've got Pogba and Rashford, yeah.
I've also got Kane and Firmino joining Rashford up front. I think my front 3 should get me a fair amount of points for the rest of the season.
Kane, Rashford, Wilson. So, fantasy roundup complete. Time for Sam's Stat of the Week.
Stat of the Week with Statman Sam.
So, we're 19 games into the season. Both Arsenal and Manchester United have only kept 3 clean sheets. Crystal Palace have kept 8, which is quite astounding considering the defensive nature or the defensive quality of those so-called top 6 teams. The best disciplinary record in the league is held by Liverpool.
I do had a red this season, have we?
With only 20 yellow cards, which is 5 less than any other team, and 1 red card.
Oh, Henderson against Watford, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Southampton have the worst yellow card record with 45. And the most red cards goes to Leicester with 4.
Interesting, there we are down the bottom, look.
Yep.
City should have had more because Company should have been sent off in our game and Delph should have been sent off against you guys, but
yes,
whatever. It's interesting that Manchester United is so high up the list, isn't it? That is interesting. Okay, so that brings us on to the preview part of the pod. We'll go through each match, we'll make our predictions and see how we think this weekend's action is going to pan out. So we'll go through in order, does it make sense? 2. West Ham against Arsenal, the early kick-off on Saturday.
A nice London derby.
Indeed.
Arsenal's recent run of form has been iffy. Their defenders have not been very good, but you're nearly always guaranteed a goal with Aubameyang up front.
You are?
So I think London Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, that could be...
Never trust an early kick-off.
No.
I'm going to go for 2-2.
2-2.
Big shout from you.
I think Arnautovic will have a good game, although he came off, didn't he, against Bournemouth in the FA Cup match.
He did, but Arnautovic is always a little bit
Yeah.
niggled, isn't he? You're right, this is an interesting one to call, isn't it? West Ham are in good form on the whole. Arsenal not on such good form. Obviously got tanked 5-1 by Liverpool in a game we didn't really discuss. Again, there's much discussed in that game really. Arsenal or Arsenal.
Yeah, Arsenal were very poor.
Firmino was brilliant. And I expect West Ham to re-up for this one. I think West Ham win this. I think West Ham win 2-1 is my prediction.
I think they'll have enough.
Arsenal very questionable at the back and without
Yes.
many fit centre-backs.
Same as you at the moment, who go to play Brighton on the south coast at 3 o'clock on Saturday.
We do. Difficult place to go, the Amex.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I think we'll have enough to win. I am worried about the centre-back position because obviously, as I said, Lovren's gone off tonight. I mean, we can play Fabinho there
I was
for
going to say, I think Fabinho will be first choice after the rest.
Problem is that wastes his talents in midfield.
Yes.
That's the problem.
does.
That's
Good as you can put. I think.
I was surprised that he didn't start against City.
I was as well. I think when he came on, he changed the game for Liverpool. Should have come on earlier for me. But I'd be more tempted to put Milner at centre back than I would Fabinho because I just don't want to waste Fabinho's ball play. Against a team like Brighton, they're going to be well organised, a little bit defensive. Fabinho's ball operating skills in midfield could be key.
Well, they offer some attacking threat, Brighton, but could he be used at centre back in the similar sort of role that he plays, just slightly more defensive?
It's difficult, isn't it? It means passing's been off at times. I don't want to put him further back and risk the chance. We'll see. Lovren might just picked up a little knock. He might be back for the weekend. If not, Matip might be rushed in back, or Gomez might play with an injection. So we'll have to see. I think Brighton score. I do. I think as good as Liverpool are defensively, I do think Brighton score, but I think Liverpool have enough. I'm going to go for 3-1 Liverpool.
I'm going to go for 2-0 Liverpool. I don't see... You've only conceded 10 goals this season. I don't see Brighton getting one past you.
A lot will depend on that centre-back situation.
Yes, it will.
We'll see. Next game is Burnley and Fulham. This is the definition of a 6-pointer.
I was just going to say, this sounds like a 6-pointer. Burnley-Fulham. Burnley won a couple of games over Christmas.
Yep.
Important games as well.
Got tanked by you as well, though.
Took them out of the relegation zone, which is really what they're looking for.
Joe Hart playing quite well at the minute, I think. Probably the best English goalkeeper in the Premier League at the moment. It's an unpopular opinion, but...
The amount of saves he's made for Burnley this season has been ridiculous. He's kept them in a lot of games. Fulham's attacking threat is on and off.
Yeah.
It depends if Mitrovic wants to play his big bully-like football or whether he's being all tame and timid.
I think this will be a dull game, personally. I'm going 0-0.
I think one goal is going to snatch this.
To who, though, Sam?
Exactly. Burnley at home... I'll go for a Burnley win, 1-0.
As I say, 0-0. Don't see that being a particularly exciting game. Another 6-pointer at 3 o'clock sees Cardiff host Huddersfield. I mean, what do you say about this? I mean, Huddersfield have to score, aren't scoring enough goals, and are away to a side that we've said repeatedly whose home form will probably keep them in the division.
Cardiff seem to love playing at home, and I think that's what's going to pull them through in this match. I don't see Huddersfield scoring. Cardiff may take quite a lot of advantage out of that.
I'm going for a big Cardiff win. I
was thinking that as well.
I think it's the chance for Cardiff to really lay down a marker and show that they are going to be battling this to the very end. I'm going 3-0 Cardiff, I think.
That's what came into my mind, 3-0 Cardiff.
Yeah, I do.
I don't see Huddersfield... It sounds slightly ridiculous, and obviously I'll be proved wrong, but in many ways I don't see Huddersfield picking up another point this season. It's so difficult to see where they're going to get a point, isn't it? Palace-Watford, a slight derby in a way. Both teams doing well. Obviously, Watford were involved in that crazy game against Bournemouth.
Yeah, 6 goals in the first half.
That's the first time Troy Deeney has scored twice in a Premier League match since 2016.
You should have done Stat of the Week this week.
Well, I've got Sam. Statman Rick doesn't work as well as Statman Sam, but Again, this is very difficult to call, isn't it? Palace, not as strong at home as they have been in the past. Watford, the sort of dictionary definition of inconsistent.
Yeah, but Palace arguably on the up now. They got a lot of confidence from beating City.
Yep.
I think Townsend and Zaha are especially playing well at the moment.
Big
and
win at Wolves.
you know, if they get a penalty, Milivojevic is going to put it in the back of the net.
Yep, you do. Yep.
I can see goals in this one, even though Palace have struggled to score goals. I'm going for 3-2 Watford.
Oh, crikey.
See, I see it going the other way. I don't see goals.
I see this to be quite a cagey affair. I'm going to go 1-1. I don't see either side having enough to win this personally.
Okay. Moving up to the King Power Stadium now, and Leicester take on Southampton.
Yes, Southampton under a bit of a revolution and revival under Hasenhüttl.
Bless you.
Thank you. Playing really good football. Who knew that if you coached players,
Yeah.
that they could actually be quite good?
Yeah.
And Southampton's squad, on paper, is quite good. Coaching quite good players leads to quite good results.
Yeah, I mean, Redmond had a really good game in the FA Cup.
He's improved massively under Hasenhüttl.
Scored both the goals. I think he's going to be key to keeping them up this season, along with Charlie Austin and Danny Ings. Leicester gone out the cup. Will they want to bounce back with a good win? I think so. And I think Leicester at home, that home support that they've got this season, I think almost outweighs any other team in the league because of what's happened. I think Leicester go and win this 2-1.
See, I see Southampton nicking this personally. I think they're well coached, they're well drilled. And I think that they'll look at this game as a potential, seeing what Cardiff did there. And we're discussing earlier how many other teams around Cardiff will go and get points at Leicester. I did think Southampton were one of those that could. I'm going to stick to that. I think Southampton win 1-0. The late kickoff sees Chelsea host Newcastle, and this is a very interesting one for me because Newcastle, this is a sort of game that Benitez relishes in a way, a chance to show his tactical ability.
Especially going back to one of his old clubs.
Yep, and Chelsea are, as I said previously, very inconsistent, lacking the finishing striker. Could this be one that Newcastle snatch?
I don't see them snatching it. I think at most they'll get a draw because Benitez knows how to set up against these top teams. He's shown it against City, showed it against Liverpool as well. And yes, Chelsea haven't got that cutting edge, but if Hazard wants to turn it on, he could go and win this game 3-0 for them. I see Chelsea just winning it. Morata got 2 goals in the FA Cup this weekend. Whether that gives him confidence, we don't know, because he doesn't seem to be a happy player at the moment. No. But I still think Chelsea will have the quality to win this, but I think it will be 1-0. Only by 1.
See, I'm going for Newcastle to win 2-0. Newcastle winning 2-0 on this one, and I think Rondon will bully the back two at Chelsea.
Okay.
I think Rondon's showing that he, whilst isn't perhaps the most skillful player, is a bully, but in the positive sense of the words, that he puts himself about. And there was a couple of crosses I remember against Liverpool which Perez put over, which if Rondon was on the end would probably have scored.
Yeah.
And Newcastle seem to have found a system. Get the ball into the box from Ritchie, who can deliver a really good ball.
Yep.
Get that to Rondon, get him set on it. And I think that he had a good chance against United, which he just put over. That at 0-0, that could have changed the game. And I think Newcastle could take a full advantage of a slightly stuttering Chelsea. Chelsea then have to come out and try and play on the counter, and I think play on the attack, and Newcastle on the counter, win 2-0.
Fair enough.
Early kick-off on Sunday sees your guys in action. You're hosting Bournemouth.
Yeah, I have a feeling it will go one of two ways, this game. It will either be really exciting, like it has been before, and be like a 4-4 or something stupid, or it will be quite boring. And because it's a TV game, most of the TV games I've seen us involved in this season have been quite boring.
I think the problem for you is that you're trying to get some consistency, you're trying to bounce back to a degree. Bournemouth isn't this sort of team you want to play, because if they turn up and turn it on, they're very difficult ones to call, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think you probably just edge this one. I'm going to go 2-1. Although I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw or a win for Bournemouth.
It could literally go either way.
Yeah, we're at home. Our home form has been decent this season. Yep. Bournemouth's away form is indifferent.
Yep.
So I think a 1-1 draw would be a fair result.
Arguably the biggest game of the weekend is Sunday evening. Tottenham hosting Manchester United. Of course, Spurs went to Old Trafford and won convincingly earlier in the season. It's a different Manchester United now, but it's the first test for Solskjaer and his men.
Yes, certainly is. If he can get all of his players playing in the same direction that they have been in these previous 4 or 5 games, then Man United could cause a lot of problems for Tottenham.
Yeah.
But then again, Tottenham went out and tanked us 6-2. I know they won 7-0 in the cup. They're a team that just seems to go on and win games at the moment, no matter even if it's a difficult game.
I think both sides have defensive frailties. Both sides have got very good keepers in questionable form, and therefore, both sides have got very strong attacking players: Kane, Pogba, Son, Martial, Eriksen, Rashford. I'm going to go 2-2 draw.
I think Tottenham will nick it.
Yep.
I think, again, there'll be a lot of goals. I think it'll be 3-2 to Tottenham.
Second 3-2 of the weekend.
Yep.
The final game, perhaps one of the hardest ones to call.
A banana skin this could be.
Very much so. City hosting Wolves. Now, as discussed, Wolves play better against the sides that attack them. City
Yep.
will not sit back.
No.
Not at the Etihad.
Especially at home, yeah.
This could, I mean, City. Then, if City turn it on, they could absolutely hammer Wolves.
Oh, they
Let's-
could
let's
go
be
out
honest.
and win 4-0
Yeah,
if they
let's be
wanted
honest,
to.
They could go and hammer Wolves. But like against Tottenham, the longer Wolves stay in a game at only 1-0, the more belief they have. They just need that one set piece, don't they?
Yeah, they
then they're
need-
back in the game, and then
They need a catalyst.
Yeah.
And as you said, as long as they stay in it. But we've seen City go out and score 3 in 12 minutes and the game's over. So this one, I think, is the most difficult to call of the weekend. I'm going to let you go first.
That's fair enough.
I'm going to go 2-2 because I think Wolves get an early goal,
Right.
which I think draws City out.
Yep.
I think City equalise, and I think Wolves go ahead again, and again City. Then they'll go one of two ways, like it did against Tottenham. Wolves, they're either going to get the third and kill the game, or City's, and let's be frank, they're better than Tottenham. City's class will pull through and they'll get the draw. I think
resolute.
I think City drop points. Monday nights are always a weird one as well. It's like
Yeah.
the early kickoffs that you never back the Monday night game. It's weird. It's strange.
And for that reason, I'm going to back the Monday night game. I think, yes, Wolves will score, but yes, they might score first, but I think that will cause City to go, hang on a minute, we're not taking this, and they'll go out and win 4-1. I like my goals.
You do? No, I think Wolves will get something from this game because I think they're the scenes that Southampton went to City, or Southampton, yeah, they did go to City. Southampton went to City and caused problems. Palace went to City and caused problems. Lots of problems. And for me, Wolves are a better side than Palace. I'm sorry, that's just the way I see it. I think Wolves, if they turn up and want to, they can cause a problem. They caused City a problem in the reverse fixture with a 1-1 draw.
Yep.
Yeah. It may just be me desperately praying City drop points somewhere else.
Yeah.
But no, I think I can see Wolves getting something from this. Board is up, the preview section is over. We're going to move into AOB. Now I've got two topics for discussion, but we've got a little bit of time looking at the recording, so that's fine. I can probably get both in. We'll obviously lock in those scores from the preview and we'll update the table as and when. We've got a big update to do following the Christmas results.
Yep.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to get one of my AOBs out of the way and come to you? How do you want to do this?
You can go first because I'm not sure I've got much this week.
Okay, my first AOB it's a bit speculative in a way. Where does Toby Alderweireld play next season? I assume you've seen that he's got the £25 million release clause now.
Yes.
And one would expect there to be an eBay-style bidding system on him because every top club in Europe will be going for him. Even teams like Leicester must surely have a go. I mean, it's not like he's going to go there, but you'd put the bid in, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, I think either he does stay
No.
or he'll go to a Champions League squad.
I don't think-
he won't go anywhere else other than Champions League.
I don't think he stays because if he stays, he doesn't get that clause in the contract. I think that's very clearly.
No.
I'll play for you for a bit longer, but I'm wanting to get out of here.
But the year extension that he signed is so that he can get out of it next year. I think he's seeing what Tottenham can do this year, and I think they've had a really difficult draw in the Champions League against Dortmund.
Yeah.
And I think he's seeing that and thinking, we might not go too far in this season.
Not cup tied anymore if he moves.
No,
Prediction: where do you think he plays next season?
Tottenham.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I think he
I
goes.
think he'll stay and then he'll leave for free.
No, I think he goes. I think that at that price, every big club in Europe will bid. It will become too much for him to resist. I think he ends up at Juventus.
Interesting.
Aging centre backs need to replace them, or
Yeah.
or United.
You think he'll stay in the Premier League?
Yeah, I think he could go to. Depending on who goes. Let's not forget if Poch then goes to United,
Yeah.
which is not beyond the realms of possibility. Then I think Alderweireld follows him.
Okay.
If I was Arsenal as well, I'd be giving it a go.
Yeah, I think he's got far too much loyalty to go to Arsenal.
Nah, I'd be awful about Sol Campbell and William Gallas though. It happens.
It does happen.
If you're Arsenal, at the moment, you'd at least give it a go. I'd be praying that Liverpool give it a go, to be honest with you. The idea of Alderweireld and Van Dijk as a centre-back partnership, whilst that would potentially stop the progress of Joe Gomez, in the short term, I think when a player comes up for that fee, if you're a top club, you've got to go for it. Chelsea will have to go for it. All the
Yes.
big clubs will have to go for this. And I think eventually his head will be turned so much that he gets out.
Yeah, I think it might be a case of Tottenham saying, rejecting certain clubs on his behalf, saying we've given you this clause, but you can't use it to go to immediate rivals.
Which I have to see.
Which means if he's not at Tottenham, I think he'll be in Europe, not in England.
I think United.
Okay.
Do you want to do my secondary B or?
Go on,
Yep.
because I haven't got one.
That's fine. Why do teams not take the FA Cup seriously? They'll take the top 6 out of the equation because we understand to a point where they don't.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm looking at your Leicesters, your Wolves, your West Hams, your Evertons, your Bournemouths. Teams that, are on, as it happens on the table, 7th to 12th. Teams that aren't going to go down. Teams that aren't going to get into the top 6.
Nope.
Unless they start really well. And obviously, I know Everton had the chance to top 4 cup seasons ago. But you can tell at this stage of the season they're not going to get top 6.
No.
But why don't these sort of teams go for the cup? I've never got it in my head because when was the last time? Take the promotion aside. When was the last time Wolves won a major trophy? Watford won a major trophy. Okay, Leicester won the Premier League. Fine. West Ham. When did they last win a major trophy?
It's quite simply, it's money.
But what?
And football clubs are run nowadays as businesses. And the higher up the league, the more profits they're making from TV, sponsorship, and all the other bits they get brought in. The FA Cup is there, as we all know, for the spirit of the game.
But I don't buy that though because even if you finish in 20th, you get a ridiculous payout from the Premier League.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between finishing? Really, what's the difference between finishing 7th and 9th but getting the FA Cup? Because it's not going to impact your season that much. Let's be honest about it. You're playing about 6 extra games. You come in at the 3rd round.
Yep.
You're playing about 6 extra games, maybe 7, possibly 8 if you get a few replays along the way. You've not had to play any other games in Europe or anything like that. Why would you not? And also, Wolves could theoretically do okay in Europe. Theoretically. Why not go for the FA Cup and get a backdoor into it? I don't get it. I don't understand it. It makes me very cross.
I think in the early stages you've got the top 6 teams which are able to rest because they've got the squads. Those teams from 7th to 12th haven't quite got the squads to fully rotate and they're relying on people being fit to play week in, week out.
Yep.
And they don't want to get injuries to key players. So they drop their key players, but their key players are the ones that win them those games.
I'm going to say that to a point.
They haven't got enough top quality key players to be able to fight on both fronts.
I'm going to say that to a point. But look at this part of the season, right? You get the FA Cup, or you enter the FA Cup in January, right?
Yep.
Look at where let's pick out aside Watford, right? You sat in the Premier League. What's that on 29 points?
Yep.
And you're how many points clear of the drop zone?
13.
13. You're 13 clear of the drop zone. Even if you lose one of your best players, you're still not going down. You can still win the FA Cup. I'm not going to turn the tide on your. I understand the business point you're making.
That's all that
But
boards are interested in.
Wenger understood that he was running out of time to finish 4th, so focus on the cups to keep the fans off his back.
Yep.
I'm not saying the fans are on his back, but I mean, look, if Paul Well won the FA Cup, which he won't this season, no, but if he'd won the FA Cup, that might keep the fans off his back.
Possibly.
Why-
But I think Newport actually outplayed Leicester.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm
Leicester didn't play their key players like Vardy and Maddison had to come out on. So
Yeah.
did Gray.
take that game in isolation. Look. There's 6 or 7 clubs in the Premier League that are safe but don't win trophies. Now, ordinarily, I'd be having a go at my club tonight for not fielding a strong side. But this season, I understand why. We're clearly going for the league. We are 1-0 down at half time.
Hey.
Jimenez on the 38th minute. But look, this season, I understand why Liverpool aren't prioritising the cup. Completely understand that. We're top of the league. We've got to focus on the league. We've got Champions League coming up. Again, a Champions League which we could theoretically go far in. We'll see how that happens. But I get it this year. But in other years, I've always wondered, why on earth are we not going for the FA Cup? Last year, actually, I wondered why on earth we're not going for the FA Cup.
I think there's always, because of the type of competition it is, being a cup competition, there's the luck of the draw as well.
We've not
And
won
if you're a team in 7th to 12th, you come up against a Big 6 team and you get knocked out in the latter stages, your season's for nothing. If you're focusing on that, your season's for nothing.
But your season's nothingness anyway if you're Wolves, no offence, because you're not going to win the league. You're always going to stay up because there's by far more than... there's 6 or 7 teams worse than you, let alone 3.
Yeah.
For me, for Liverpool, who are a successful club on paper, the last major trophy we won was 2006. We won the FA Cup. We won the League Cup in 2012, but that's not a major trophy for me.
Right.
So we've not won a major trophy for over 10 years.
Yeah. We haven't won one for 23 years.
So I mean, Everton are a prime example, and to be fair, I know you've got a couple of semis in fairly recent years, but another club that is never going to go down. Well, I say never going to, but you're not going to go.
We've not really had that cup pedigree. We haven't gone that deep into cup competitions either. And I think there has to be a mentality within a side to be able to go and do cup competitions like Arsenal have been able to do.
But Sixton did it with Swansea. He must have enjoyed that, mustn't he? Or does he look at his medal and go, well, I would have preferred to have got knocked out and finished a place higher? For me, look, for the players as well, Wolves finish. I'm picking on Wolves, but they are winning, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, okay. So say Wolves finish, I say 7th and don't win the FA Cup compared to 9th win the FA Cup. Are the players going to prefer to go around going, oh, we finished 7th. Look at my lack of medal for finishing 7th. We'll go, yeah, we finished, stayed in the Premier League, and here's my medal for the FA Cup.
I think they prefer to finish 7th.
Why?
Because the league's always it's that sustained.
But do the players want
thing across the season?
But do the players want that?
Yeah.
Players want medals, don't they?
Players want money.
Yeah, but they're going to get money for winning the FA Cup or getting higher in the league.
Not as much.
Perhaps I'm romanticising it slightly.
The TV deals, the sponsorship deals, the extra income that you get from that is far outweighing what you get from an FA Cup run. An FA Cup run for lower league teams like Lincoln last year getting to the quarterfinals.
It's great for them.
It's boosted them. That's why they're top of League Two. And, and they're a team on the up.
Perhaps I'm romanticising football side, but and I'm not a professional footballer, obviously. But if I was a professional footballer, when I'm looking back on my career and I'm trying to tell it to my kids or whoever, I'd rather reach behind the sofa, pull out a box of medals and go, 2018-19 was the year that I made an extra 10k for getting an extra place in the Premier League. But Daddy, where's the medals? No, I bought a Hummer. That's for me. That as a fan, why would a fan care about what the players are getting paid? As a fan, I want to see my team win trophies. I want to see my team play at Wembley, not because we're playing Tottenham.
I think that might be where the issue is there's not enough players playing for teams nowadays who are there because they love the team. Players are very much indifferent to which team they're playing for as long as they're playing football and getting paid.
It's wrong. To me, it's wrong. I don't see why teams don't go for the FA Cup.
I mean, on both your hands, name players playing in the Premier League that love playing for their clubs and would rather win a cup for their club.
One name immediately springs to mind, but you're right, I couldn't count any more.
I was going to say, you can't name 10 of them out of however many hundreds of players there are in the Premier League.
I'm trying to think how many I could name now.
It's difficult though, isn't
Trent
it?
Alexander-Arnold, without a shadow of doubt, he's a scouse through and through.
Yeah.
Playing for his club's most important and getting a cup for his club's most important, I think.
Yeah.
I think Dele Alli cares enough about Tottenham. I don't think he's a money guy. I think he's a medals guy. I do believe that because I think Ali could have gone years ago if he was about the money because he's underpaid at Tottenham by far. He could have gone to a bigger City. He could have gone to City a few seasons ago for bigger money.
There's not enough homegrown talent within clubs.
I think Kane probably cares about trophies.
Yes, but that's because he's come up through the club.
Yeah, I am struggling to get past 3, I have to say. I agree.
I think that might be where the issue stands, is you get international players coming in, they don't quite understand what the FA Cup's all about.
On the Liverpool Wolves game, just quickly, I have had a text from a friend saying, good old Poppadom wrists in goals. That would suggest that perhaps Mignolet is slightly to blame for the goal. I've not seen it, but we'll have to catch up on that. Okay, so if you got any, we'll move away from the FA Cup. I can see the argument you're making. My point is that I grew up watching teams win trophies and how much it meant to them. You tell Solskjaer at United that the FA Cup don't matter.
I'd love to see us get to the FA Cup. The last final we got to was in 2009 against Chelsea, and I tried in my best power to get tickets for it. And that was difficult enough. Yeah. But yeah, I'd love to see our team lift the cup.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we had a good FA Cup run, we got knocked out by Villa in the semi-final, and that was a wonderful game. But I've never really seen my team in a final. Seeing my team in the Europa League final and Champions League final, great. But I've got no chance of getting to those.
No.
I have got a chance of getting to Wembley.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to skip AOB this week then?
I haven't really got much.
No, that's fine. I've done 2. I've spoken and ranted and raved. So for me now, just a close point to this, you're in the 4th round. If you get a favourable draw, you should be absolutely going for the FA Cup as a club of Everton stature. You should absolutely be going for the FA Cup. Well, that's it for this pod. Thank you for being with us for the first pod of 2019. Hopefully a big year for a game of 2 halves. We'll see how well that goes for us. We'll be back Same time next week, looking through the results of the games just gone. We'll probably have a quick word on the FA Cup draw, which has been made after the game tonight. I fully expect Liverpool not to be in there. And have a great week. We'll catch you next week.
Welcome to A Game of Two Halves with me, Rick, and him, Sam. We're here again with all the news, reviews and previews of the Premier League action this week. Thank you for listening to A Game of Two Halves. Please subscribe and leave a review.
You can also find us on our social media, on Instagram at A Game of Two Halves Pod, and on Twitter at @A_game of. You can also email us at gameoftwohalvespod@gmail.com.